Was this something you were looking for when they said you're coming? Are you looking forward to it, or something to represent your school?
Yeah, I'm happy to be here, but I just didn't expect it to be me. I thought it would be some guy like Garrett. Major Burns, one of those two guys who've been on the team longer than I have, who have, bled longer than I have, but I'm happy to be here and happy to be representing the defense.
You're kind of the face of the change with the defense. You're moving back inside linebacker, obviously, new defensive staff and new style. So just walk us through what the changes have been like in the spring and this offseason, and how do you think it will benefit y'all this season?
I feel like the changes have been good. We've been really just starting from ground zero, building back up, building a new foundation, and it's been fun doing it with the defense. Defense, we love it. We love change. We're not just ready to get it going.
How much has Blake being on board kind of helped even you at the linebacker position? He was here when you committed, right?
Yeah, he actually recruited me. Well, it helped a lot. He's the DC, but he's my actual coach, so it helps a lot.
Does it help with extra attention, or just a relatability that he brings, kind of having known you, recruited you?
I say relatability. We can relate to each other a lot.
Does he make it easier to understand what they want to accomplish on defense? Like, what's giving everybody a little bit more comfort with him on board?
I feel he a more aggressive guy, defensive wise, but he knows when to have fun. I'm excited for him.
His work with Damone Clark when he came in, have you talked to Damone and kind of picked up some of his pointers on how to play the position and be inside, and also work with Coach Baker too?
Yeah, Damone a good guy. Of course I talked to him. His advice to me is just keep working.
It was important for you to add some weight. Kind of talk to us about that process. I guess getting bigger and stronger, still staying fast.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Obviously it's football, so you can't be no small guy running around here. So I put on a few pounds, muscle, and my speed and everything's still the same. I'm just ready to get going.
After your first year, when the decision was made to put you inside, was that something that was your idea or a collective between you and the coaches? Because early last year you kind of struggled with it. To talk about the decision to go inside, then last year early when you had it was tough.
Can you repeat yourself?
Yeah, last year you made the decision was made to move you inside at the start of the year from your first year. Was that something that you wanted to do? And then just about it was a struggle early for you inside. Just talk about some of the decision to move inside and then some of the struggles you had.
The decision to move inside, it wasn't for me or anything else. It's the best decision that was needed for the team. I'm just here to help my team reach the next level and the next goal, and that's for a national championship.
Mentally, what kind of hurdles did you have to overcome, just knowing that you had to get bigger to play inside, and Coach talking about how you can't play inside at 210, and especially if you want to go to the next level, mentally trying to get over that hurdle. What was that like?
It wasn't hard. I feel like you're a dog, you're a dog. I don't feel like it's a mental thing. Like, if you got it, you got it. You don't, you don't. You might have to do other things, to add on to that process, but I feel like it's a mindset thing at the end of the day.
The combination between transfers, returning players, and freshmen on the defensive line, what have you seen from that group as you kind of start lining up maybe behind some of those new faces?
Everybody's hard work and they're willing to put in the work. Everybody's staying after, putting more work in. So everybody's hungry right now. Really, that's what I'm loving to see. It's not like we're satisfied.
Is there a chip on the shoulder of this defense?
I wouldn't necessarily say a chip, but I'd say we're using everything that we've been through as motivation.
What are the challenges playing inside that you don't have outside? The challenges you've faced inside.
I say the bigger guys, you got to use your hands a lot more and stuff like that. But I actually love playing inside. You can't run from me. So
is that why you like inside? You can't run from you?
I'm just saying, like, on the outside, if I play outside, you can just run the opposite way. Inside, you can't run.
Did you see a lot of that in scheming off of you?
Yeah.
Get away from this. Tell me about the grill. Is it permanent? Is it temp? What is it?
All right, it's a grill.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is it for real, for real?
Yeah, it's for real. I don't know what nothing fool gave you.
How did that go through?
I've been having this grill for a little minute.
Have you?
Yeah.
Guess we just don't get to talk to you yet. What is kind of the mindset of this defense? Like, do you acknowledge like last year was disappointing and like we can't do that again, or like is it kind of understanding the situations that y'all were in and maybe things are different now, and we can kind of show who we really are?
I feel that God put you through things, for different reasons. Obviously last year happened, we can't control it. We just gotta, that was a hurdle that we got over, and we just, like I said, we just gotta use it as motivation for this year and just go out and kill.
How does Greg really kind of help you, I guess, and settle you down there? And then you got the Weeks brothers. I mean, everybody's kind of coming on. I feel like you're the deepest linebacker you've ever been.
Yeah, obviously Greg was one of the guys that was here. Him and Wes Weeks was here when I was here as a freshman. So those guys helped me out a lot, just coming in and taught me how to take my notes, taught me how to watch film. Certain things like that, as a young guy, you come in, you want to just be a help and you want to do everything, and sometimes it can be frustrating. So they taught me a lot of things with the patience and stuff like that.
Yeah. For this year specifically, you're going to have that patience as well. It's a big year for you, right? And your future in the league and all that stuff. You can't win, 12 games in week 1, right? So like, you have to understand that it is going to be a grind. I kind of got to play my part, play my role, or whatever that role may be.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's for anybody on our team. Like, everybody know their role. I don't feel like the role is too big or too small. Everybody just got to play their part, and I feel we're going to be good.
But you have a ton of expectations. You're always the guy that people look for on the field, right? What is Perk doing? Where's Perk at? Like you, not a lot of people really worry about, linebackers and defense, right? But you're a difference maker, so they find you, right? So like, does that keeping that frustration in and like funneling that into positive energy, is that one of the things you try to work on or understand?
I understand, like, most things not gonna go my way, so I can't control nothing that I can't control. I just gotta control the controllables.
You kind of realized after your freshman year that you were a target. After your great freshman year, that you were going to be targeted by offenses. The way you played after your freshman year, you realized, like, I'm a marked man now.
Can you repeat it?
Yeah. Did you realize, like, after your freshman year, when you had such a great year, that you became a marked man for offenses? Like, we got to find him. I mean, did you discover that like last year?
Not really, man. I just be excited to play. Like, obviously, I know I'm just not going out there like, they don't know who I am. Of course, they know who I am, but I don't think like that. They got to stop me just as well as I'm trying to stop them.
You're over 220 now?
Yeah.
What are you weighing right now?
225.
How are you dealing with it, carrying that weight? Like I said, trying to be speed.
I like it. I feel bigger, stronger, faster myself. I'm moving comfortable with the weight on. Just this morning, I couldn't even buckle the top of my. Yeah, so.
That's for most of us. Does that equity that you've built with this team kind of pay off now that it's returned?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all starts with relationships. These are guys that, I've been building relationships with for 2 to 3 years. A lot of guys that I'm playing with alongside are guys that came in with me in my class. And so, I think it helps. I wouldn't say that, I've been more focused about me. I would say I've been more focused about how we've came together as a unit, not just offensively, but also as a team. Just how we've gelled, how we've meshed. We're spending a lot more time with each other outside the building than I've ever seen. That's where it starts. Like I said, it's with relationships. When you're close with somebody and you're out on the field, you have each other's back even more. So I think that's where it starts.
Everybody wants to know, how can this offense sustain the high level we've been at for the last couple of years? And it'll look different, but do you feel like there'll be a drop-off, or do you feel like you can do it?
I wouldn't say that we're too worried about, what the expectations are for us. We obviously understand we're playing at Louisiana State University, and there is an expectation. We're going to hold ourselves to that standard, but at the same time, we're worried about us. Last year's group was special. It was unreal to watch, but, it doesn't matter to us right now. It's no good if we're terrible this year, and we just talk about last year for the next year and a half. So we have to take charge, and it's our unit now, it's our group now, and it's kind of worry about how do we want to be remembered. So like I said, we respect and we're extremely we watched that group last year, even film now, just watching that and seeing how special that group was. Obviously, we learned a lot from it, all of us, but now it's worried about who we want to be this year. So
On your offensive line, you got a lot of familiar faces there, but what's your relationship like with DJ Chester? I mean, he's a young guy, came in and is now getting that opportunity.
Yeah, no, he's done a really good job stepping up. That's a hard role to step into, but I think he's got a lot of help around him with guys that are very experienced at the guard and tackle position on both sides. Hopefully, I can be as much help as I can to him. I think we all try to, help him out, but he's a smart dude. He's able to process a lot and do a lot on his own anyway. And, he's very talented. And so I'm really excited for him. him and what he's going to be able to do this year.
Did you give it any thought that where you started your high school career is now where you're starting your starter career at LSU?
Yeah, it's really cool to be back here in Dallas and to get this experience. I've always seen this since I was a kid and watched videos and stuff. To be here is almost kind of surreal. So I'm super excited to be here, and it's an honor, it's a blessing, and I thank God every day. So.
You talked a lot about just kind of how the offensive core is coming together, but just for you personally, having watched the last couple of years, how much do you personally intake? I'm ready for this. I want this moment. I'm ready to kind of show people what I'm made of after waiting for 3 years.
Yeah, I've always kind of felt personally like I had been ready. That I wanted the opportunity, but obviously it wasn't in God's timing. So I felt like I had to keep my head down and trust in Him. And now that it's my time, I feel like I'm going to lean on my teammates and just do the best I can to be the best leader possible, and hopefully we can translate that out of the field. So.
Has your dad given you any advice?
Yeah. I mean, we talk every day. Get to talk for a while. He's always there for me to be able to bounce ideas off of and get feedback from. He's somebody that's done everything that I dream of doing. So that helps a lot. Especially being my father. And I would say our relationship is very special to me. It means a lot to me. And I really appreciate that connection and that relationship. So.
Mason Taylor was somebody that Coach Taylor was just speaking very highly of.
Yeah.
You had a pretty natural rapport with him in that bowl game. Can you talk about y'all's two connection and how maybe that's developed here over the offseason?
Yeah, Mason is an unbelievable player. And he doesn't get a lot of recognition for what he was able to do for us last year. Understanding, we had 3 first-round picks, so it's hard to not talk about anybody else. But if you watch the tape and you were in the building, you understand the amount of work that Mason Taylor did behind the scenes for us last year. Whether it was taking somebody away so that Malik could get open, or if he was making an extra block so Jaden could run, things like that that Mason was able to do for us. And I feel like we have really good chemistry, and I'm really excited for what he's going to be able to do for us this year.
What's a successful season for LSU this year?
I wouldn't say I'm worried about results. I wouldn't put a number or anything like that out there. I would say a successful season for us is to continue to build this championship culture that we've been worried about, and that's the goal.
It really does seem like a common theme for this offense, whether it's you or Mason or Kyron Lacey, some of these guys that maybe had to wait their turn instead of being at the forefront of the offense. Just can you talk about, is that something you guys talk about at all? Just that you guys are ready for that that big moment?
Yeah, I mean, we do have conversations. Every once in a while, mess around, talking about it's our time now. It's our time to step up. And I guess that's real to say. I guess some of us, we have waited our turn. Kyron and Mason have got to play, and
Chris Hilton too.
Yeah, and Chris came in with me. And all these guys, they've all stepped up. Being at Louisiana State University, there's pressure, but it's a privilege, and you understand what it means to play for this university, what it means to be a starter on this offense, in the best conference, in college football. So yeah, I feel like we feel like it is our time to step up, and it's our job to step up. And so, like I said, that pressure is a privilege.
What does the offense look like? I mean, you guys have been working throughout the summer. It's going to be different, but
yeah, I mean, it's going to be different. I won't get into what we're going to be looking like schematically, obviously, but. I would say, we've came together and we've spent a lot more time outside the building together. We've gotten a lot closer, and I think that'll gel and mesh onto the field. So,
I mean, we can figure it out. You don't have to tell us, but I mean, we know what the run game is. We know the offensive line is going to be, a strength of this team, and you've got new guys, but talented guys stepping in. So it's not going to be run on third down every down, but you can move the ball in different ways, and you're kind of flexing that muscle now.
Yeah, I would say things are obviously going to be different. When you look at me and Jaden's skill sets are obviously different. That's no surprise. But I think Coach Sloan has done an unbelievable job kind of gelling and meshing this offense into what he wants it to be. So I think you're going to see a very explosive, very exciting offense, a very dominant up front offense, and I think it's going to be hopefully very special to watch.
Joe's been tough on you. I just watch him practice. It's he gets on you.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a little bit of you and him, right?
Yeah.
But is that good for you too?
Yeah, it is great. It's the relationship that me and him have built over the last 3 years. I don't feel like there's anybody in the country that could coach me better than Coach Sloan. And just my freshman year when he first got here after the season, he was really honest with me about where I was, and I didn't really like to hear what he had to say at first. But I had to learn to trust in him and to be honest with myself and who I was and what I needed to become. And he's done an amazing job, helping me set a plan to accomplish that.
Garrett, did you pre-order EA Sports College?
Oh yeah. I'll be on it tonight as soon as we get back.
Who do you play as?
Who do I play as? I'll be playing as LSU for sure.
So, what are you hoping to see in there? Because I know you were talking about the stadium stuff.
I was able to see a couple of videos and stuff. It looked pretty cool. I'm just excited. It's kind of a dream come true to be able to play with yourself in a video game. It's kind of surreal, kind of crazy. So I'm excited to just throw a couple touchdowns, to be honest.
Did that take Akron to the championship?
Nah, unfortunately not.
One of the big changes that Jaden made last year, I felt like, was pushing the ball down the field and being able to, that had to do a lot with the guys around him developing too, but that's something you haven't been afraid to do. What are the changes that you've had to make to be successful?
I've had to learn definitely since my freshman year of kind of controlling myself a little bit, impulse, I guess. But I wouldn't say it was always bad. I would say, I had to learn when and where to take the shots and when to take the opportunities and when to check the ball down. I always felt like I was, one of my specialties was being able to always move the chains and keep us in good down and distance. Moving to the next level, when I got into college, I just had to learn a little bit just to control myself and to take the check down when it's not a great look. So.
Does that involve film study, or is that as simple as
I think it's more through
running
reps. Just getting reps, reps and reps and reps. I think I've gotten better as I've gotten more and more reps. So hopefully I'm nowhere near a finished product of what I will be come the end of the season. And that's the goal, is just always keep getting better and always keep pushing. I think, like I said, Coach Sloan is the best coach in the country to help me achieve that. So.
Is it as simple as realizing there's 10 other dudes here that can help me? I don't have to make some magic.
Yeah, I would say that there's that aspect of it. Is just leading the offense and doing my job. I feel like that's one of the things that me and Coach Sloan have always talked about, is just doing my job and executing the play the way it's called. And so I think that's one of the things that I've worked on a lot.
What kind of leader are you now that you have this role?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I focus too much about me. I would say I feel like, hopefully, if you ask my teammates, they would say that I'm the leader that cares more about the unit than I do about myself. I care about what we can accomplish as a team. I'm hopefully excited for personal goals and personal awards, but like I said, I'm focused on team awards and team goals, and the rest will come with it.